Never say we don't give the people what they want.
Never. We always do.
We're back.
Heyo.
That video went crazy. We're back talking about another trailer the next
You
day.
guys demanded it.
Audience demand. People love to hear. If there's one thing we know to be true, Deepak, it's that people love to hear our opinions about space-themed franchises on the internet. They love it when we talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
Personally,
basically, we are the movie version of Star Talk. So
we've never gotten any negative feedback on you and I weighing in on like epic star-based cinema. And
our opinions are generally regarded as like the gold standard.
We're pretty mainstream,
I think so.
Can we, before we get into this, so the joke of this was obviously we put this out, we put the shorts up on our socials, we got some good response to the Spider-Man video. We said
this is regarding our video the other day about the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer.
Head over to the website nerdigo.com or youtube.com/@nerdigomedia if you haven't seen it yet. We went through the trailer to Spider-Man Brand New Day and broke down what we expect from the movie based on the trailer.
We basically told you guys the entire plot of the movie in that
we got somebody stitched a video of us this morning on TikTok, being like, I will block every single account that posts even one frame from Spider-Man. This guy was the opposite of J. Jonah Jameson. He didn't want a single picture of Spider-Man in his feed. So I liked that a lot. But what I actually wanted to come to you with was every single time we post anything on TikTok, at this point, it just triggers another wave of people finding that video of you talking about Togo not being on streaming.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is up to like 700,000 views at this point or something insane like that.
I'm expecting a call from Disney at this point.
Well,
like, what can we do to make this go away, sir?
Exactly. Part of what I think is so funny is there will be people commenting who clearly like don't actually know what's up with the physical media game in this country, right? So they're commenting like, what are you talking about? Togo available at Walmart. And like, if you type in Togo Blu-ray, you do get Walmart,
but it's not
like associate link or whatever, but that's not Walmart selling the movie. That's some guy who has like a storefront in the Walmart digital space who has produced like
it's a pirated copy
or whatever that he'll sell you, right? But yeah, it's just really I always like to go back and check out the comments on the Togo video. So check out our Spider-Man Brand New Day video, go read the comments on the Togo video. And now here we go. We are here to talk about Dune Part 3, formerly known as Dune Messiah, currently known as Dune Part 3 for commercial reasons. Denis Villeneuve back to direct. We got a trailer earlier this week. The thing that the tone setting I want to do before we get into it is that Dune Messiah, the novel, is a political thriller sort of in the style of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Right? It's about like leadership and high families and like the political consequences of their personal drama.
Right.
It is not a war-based epic, which is like what the trailer for this movie that we're about to take a look at looks so much like.
Right.
So I'm curious to see how they square those two things. I think the scope of Dune Part 3, which we had originally, this is my kind of hot take I'll lay the table with. I think the scope of this movie is going to be way bigger than just Dune Messiah.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think they're really doing a faithful adaptation at all. I don't see how they could, especially given the seeds that they sowed with the first two movies and how much they've changed with those. Despite being reasonably faithful, there are some key changes, of course, Alia being the main one. So we'll see what they do here.
So we're going to dive right into it. But before we hit play, so this movie takes place
60.
I think it's 12 years after?
12 years and 61 billion lives or something.
61 billion people have died at the hands of Paul's jihad.
Yes. Thousands
of planets now a part of his empire. The collateral damage way worse than anything that would have happened under the Emperor Shaddam. And I think the tone of this movie that they're really setting up here is like Paul has won, but at what cost?
And I think Villeneuve has talked about wanting to make sure that, especially when making Part 2, he wanted it to be known that this is not the Paul Atreides as a hero arc, because that is not the story he's interested in telling. And even Herbert, especially with Messiah as a book, makes it clear by the end of it that Atreides, or Paul Atreides rather, is not the hero of the story.
Which is part of what I loved so much about my favorite scene in Part 2, which is when he puts on the black cloak and goes to like the council meeting or whatever and just like screams everyone's dreams back at them. Like he is weaponizing like the toxic masculinity and the patriarchy to be like, I sure do look cool though, don't I?
Yeah.
Like, don't you want to ride with this? But he is like, you watch that scene and you're like, this is not the hero of the story. This guy is like
No,
creating the iron fist that he will use to rule.
Yeah, I think he's taking advantage of a situation to,
Yeah.
He's very political.
All right, so we start with a great shot here.
I love
Paul's hand in the water.
Oh, is that Paul's? I love the music in this whole trailer, by the way.
I mean, Zimmer has done such a great job with the Dune scores.
It's very Deshi Bashara Deshi.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
So the ripples, I mean, obviously Paul's hand in the water on any planet is going to be important, but like the ripples here kind of coming out across the surface, I feel like are very, consequences of my actions.
Yes.
If we have a girl.
The look of the Arrakis is already very different with, I think they have Linus Sandgren shooting this as opposed to Greg Fraser.
Yeah, the way that we're much higher up. We were always right down in the sand in those first two, kind of to give maximum scale to the sandworms. Right. But this is going to be an intergalactic story, so we don't need to be friendly neighborhood Spider-Men here, right? We can be flying through the sky because we're going to leave this planet pretty quickly. Right. So this is Paul and Chani in the still tent. This is in the first novel, Dune, end of name. And they're talking about what they would name their children. Of course, in that novel, in Dune, they do have two children, and this is what they name them. So Leto the second, named after Paul's father, Leto Atreides.
Oscar Isaac.
And then played by Oscar Isaac in the first movie. And then Enima, I think is how you say it.
Spell it? I'm blanking on it at the moment.
I think it's Enima. They're about to say it, but it's both Arabic and Fremen. Surprise, surprise. So like so many words are for spoil of war.
Okay.
Her name should be Ganima.
Ganima, pardon me.
She would need to be strong, like her mother.
And then this is Paul. So this shaved head version of Paul. This is what I wanted to call out. So we go from Dune, him in the tent with Chani talking about their babies, like a scene taken straight out of the first book, to Paul in his shaved head era, which is like end of Dune Messiah, start of Children of Dune.
Oh,
I'm trying to get you wound up because I know you're a big sandworm guy. This trailer doesn't, for me, rule out that we're going to see sandworm in this movie.
I never thought that we wouldn't. I see there's such a
that's such what I think
keystone iconography of the series. It's like having a Star Wars movie without a lightsaber.
You should be doing a victory lap here, I think.
Okay, I am.
The boy.
I would name him Leto.
Now, this is not a scene they actually showed in the previous movies, right?
No, we haven't seen
it's an adaptation of a scene from the book that is like a flashback for him, probably.
Right, and we're exactly. I think that's how it's going to be sort of couched in the movie. Is that's a flashback. Paul, shaved head at the end of his life, is sort of
regretting choices he's made.
Farthest we ever go, and then this right here, the jihad, which is not actually in any of the books, is sort of like the between action in the novels. This is I think this is like the present. I think we're going to get past Paul, present Paul, and future Paul, sort of all simultaneous.
So
there's the ring, of course.
Of his grandfather.
War feeds on itself.
So that line, war feeds on itself. And then, like we said, I mean, this is the violence, right, of Paul's intergalactic jihad that I wasn't really expecting us to see too much of here, but it looks cool as hell.
It also reminds me of that shot in the Odyssey trailer of Damon and his troops walking through the forest.
Yes. Similar color. So this is, you called out, there's two things in this shot. The score here, this is Harkonnen family chanting.
Oh, okay.
And just the Harkonnen connection, this sort of being Paul's more Harkonnen side.
He's married
maybe
into
coming
it
out.
now, right? Yeah.
And it's obviously Chalamet doing the chanting. Well, not only married into it, but also we learn, his mother as well. So, and then this that we can't really see because of the moment I paused, but this ship that they're attacking is a Harkonnen ship.
Okay.
So just big Harkonnen symbology going on.
The more I fight, the more our enemies fight back.
Do you want to talk about what's inside this sarcophagus here?
I'm assuming it's Momoa.
I think it's got to be Momoa. So I think this is the Gola of the character Hate being delivered to Pattinson's character there. Do you want to? I don't want to take all the Dune mythology. I know this is sort of the corner you feel most comfortable getting into. Do you want to set it up a little bit?
Yeah.
Here?
So the idea of the Gola is basically a clone of a person that is made of them after they have already deceased. There is, or they're already deceased rather. There is another separate term for a clone that is made of someone while they're still alive. Of course, the big thing with these Golas is that there is, within the context of the novel, some, I guess, confusion or further study needed as to whether or not they're able to gain the ancestral memories or the genetic memories of the person that they are a clone of.
There's a lot of stuff with genetic memory in Dune, right? When in Dune Prophecy, did you watch all the way to the end of Dune Prophecy?
No. Oh no, I did. The show, yeah. I did.
Yes. Remember, there's she has some stuff with genetic memory there, where like that one woman's ancestor like takes over her body.
Yes.
So there's all sorts of weird stuff with genetic ancestry and whether or not like as you said, a clone can regain the memories of its like prior like iteration and things like that. All sort of interesting ideas going on here, and
your boy.
We also have Robert, my man,
without eyebrows, looking very Grima Wormtongue,
looking incredibly Sting from David Lynch's Dune, if I do say so myself.
Yes, actually, yeah.
But yeah, Robert Pattinson obviously showing up here like the absolute British freak that he is labeled in the new trailer for Drama, and the spoilers for a novel that came out 50 years ago or whatever. He is kind of the bad guy of this story, and he is somehow using this Gola that is inside this sarcophagus to try and usurp Paul's rule.
Right.
And that's why we see all of this, him, the Gola, and the Florence Pugh character, the Princess Irulan, all sort of back to back to back right after Paul has that line about his enemies closing in around him.
Now, do we want to talk a little bit about what Scytale, his character's name, what he is?
Yeah, sure. So he is a member of the Bene Twi'leks. He's a face changer. We saw those in Dune
Dancer,
Prophecy.
I believe.
Face dancer. We saw those in Dune Prophecy, so they can change how they look. Although you have to imagine for the money, he's probably mostly going to look like Robert Pattinson.
There is a stipulation like Animorphs. They need to like touch the person in order to be able to become them.
And then because he's a member of the Bene Twi'leks, so his face dancer is like, if we're going to use a D&D analogy, face dancer is his race. Bene Twi'leks is his class. So because he's a member of the Bene Twi'leks, he's like a genetic engineer who's sort of in the business of making clones. This group is also responsible for the Mentats in Dune. So if you remember Futhir Hawat and I don't remember what the bad guy Mentat's name is that works for the Harkonnens, but the guys, they had that black lip stripe and they rolled their eyes back in their head and they did a lot of math really quickly. Those guys are also the product of the same sort of genetic engineering that goes into making a Gola. And I think we actually might see that process in this trailer. I'll try and hit pause for you if we get to it. But I was wondering if maybe we were seeing like the Gola engineering process here.
This looks like it's the delivery.
This looks like the delivery. And then we do go to the throne room.
I'm doing the best I can to protect my family.
I just think this looks cool. This is just some good old-fashioned Denny doing some good war stuff. But it'll also be really neat. Theoretically, I mean, as I said at the beginning, this isn't an action book. Whether or not it's an action movie remains to be seen. But hopefully there's some good, cool, emotional stuff with like the Fremen of Arrakis experiencing like rain, like standing in water up to their ankles, right? Like, wouldn't that just be like sort of a psychically challenging experience?
Yeah, I don't think they would know how to process that.
For a group of people that had to save their piss and sweat so that they didn't
recycle the stuff coming, the condensation out of their nostril. Yeah.
How did Father do it?
Your father never started a war.
What is it about this trailer that feels so timely right now? I just
that's interesting.
Know.
Listen,
there's something about it.
What I'll guarantee you is that in the late 60s and early 70s when Frank Herbert was writing Dune, he certainly wasn't thinking this is a sort of galactic cycle that will be on for the rest of human history. He definitely wasn't going, oh, this will be pertinent forever because we're always going to be doing this no matter what for the rest of time.
Of course not.
Jessica, not in Dune Messiah.
Okay.
Her character in the novel goes back to Caladan because she is sort of afraid of the level of worship and like power that her two children are like coming into. And so sort of to disassociate herself with it, to sort of like not co-sign it and to not have the Bene Gesserit co-sign it, she flees.
But there's no thought in the book of her staying to try to manage it herself. She realizes that they're far beyond what she's capable of controlling, and she just wants to get out of there.
Yeah, I think that a lot of more of that is in the first Dune novel. The film really makes it more like she is sort of complicit in the Paul ascension. That's not so much her characterization in the novel. Okay. She's a lot more, I think, like, be careful with this, and we're not actually supposed to have a Lisan al-Gaib. That's just like a story that we use to like keep the natives in check, and you know, is like weary of the jihad. And so it looks like they're going to go back to Caladan. Is my guess, right? That she would still be on Caladan, and that maybe Paul.
Oh, you think they're actually going to stick to that?
I mean, I would guess so. I don't know. It seems like she's just going to kind of have this one scene from what I've heard. Okay. People are saying she has like a really small part. So I wonder if maybe she just like gets visited when things are going especially bad, maybe. That's Alea, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, okay. All
right. Because she has now sort of assumed the role of like the priest reverend mother that her mother was in the previous novel.
Okay.
Just missed it, but I think that shot that we just saw there, is the clone getting made.
Oh, the 3D printer,
yeah, right. Because doesn't that sort of look like it's the same sarcophagus? And then in this next shot here, we'll see it get presented to Aaliyah sitting on the throne, and I want to talk a little bit about the Dune throne. So that is the Gold Lion throne, I think it's what it's called. Let's see if I can actually get it here without having to hit play again. Probably not, right? No, I'm gonna be that lucky.
There it is.
There it is. So hold on, let me go to my notes here because I want to get this right, because I learned about this because I knew it was important to people who love these books. So this is called the Golden Lion throne. It is carved out of a single piece of golden Hagar quartz.
Of course.
And it's sort of like the Iron Throne, you know, just like it's an important chair. This is Aaliyah sitting on it. And in the novel, both Paul and Aaliyah sit on the throne sort of interchangeably.
So where are you seeing her?
Right in the center of the shot there, in that white.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think that's her in that kind of garb she was just wearing a moment ago. Yeah. And so that makes me think, you know, that's just interesting. I don't know if Paul's like on, you know, if this is while he's talking to Jessica, if he's out doing the war, what he's got going on. But I clocked her being on the throne as interesting. All right.
There he is.
There is our guy, Duncan Idaho, back from the dead. He clearly died in the first couple of movies. So this is the clone known as Hate. And this is him fighting Paul. I wanted to call out, you once did a great video from the first Dune movie of
Paul
Gurney Halleck training Paul. But of course, Duncan Idaho is actually Paul's combat teacher, but he had gone ahead with the away mission. This is some real nerdy Dune.
Well, it's not nerdy. They talk about it because Paul asks if he can go with them, and he says no.
But so now we're finally going to see these two characters fight each other, which is like sort of been a long promised thing. And that is sort of also part of the plot of this story, not to get too into like what spoilers for the actual plot of the narrative, but like this is sort of, you were talking earlier about clone memories and ancestral memories and things like that. And there is sort of an open question of like, how much is Hate Duncan Idaho, and how much is he this new guy,
Right.
and how much should Paul like trust him the way he trusted Duncan Idaho, versus how much should he be maybe wary of him.
So not to go too far into the weeds on the nerdy stuff, but a clone could potentially not have the ancestral or genetic memories of its progenitor, but it would still be just as good a fighter. It would have inherited the same level of combat acumen as Duncan Idaho had.
I think you can sort of dial up what you want in terms of
program that into it
personality.
the way you can in the Matrix.
I think you can sort of like dial up what you want as a personality. My understanding is that kind of out of the printer, the golems are personality less, and you can kind of inject whatever you want in there. But there is this sort of inherent question of like, does their DNA that you use to build them contain some sort of like unlockable reset code for the person they were before, separate from whatever it is you program them with? Do you know what this is?
No, I do not.
I'm gonna go ahead and call this. This is not. I would say this isn't spoilers, but if you don't want to know about like a plot point, bounce down. This is called the. What's it called? It's a bomb that Skytail sets off. It's a nuke, like an atomic bomb, and the whole point of it is it's called the Stone Burner. That's what it's called. And the whole point of it is it's like the consequences of Paul's actions, right? Because Paul uses atomics against the Emperor Shaddam, which sort of normalizes, again, oh, good, look how relevant all this is, sort of normalizes Skytail's ability to then use the Stone Burner. And this is what happens to Paul's face. We've seen those posters of like him with the scars around his eyes.
Okay.
This is what happens.
I see.
And then, according to Fremen culture, the blind are sort of sent out into the desert. And you've probably heard, if not read, about the story of how at the end of Paul's life he is blind and he goes out into the desert, and that is maybe where he does or doesn't become a sandworm.
Right.
I'm not afraid to die. But I must not die.
Choni still with the blue ribbon from their marriage on her wrist. Interested to see where she's at in this movie. We don't really get a lot of Choni in this trailer.
Yet.
There it is.
Pretty good.
What do you think?
Looks just as good as at least the second one. I'm excited for it. I hope they don't end with 3, even if Villeneuve is done after this one. I think if there is more story to tell, let it be told either in the TV show or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Do we know
I am really
if
curious.
Shaddam is in this one, if Walken is coming back?
I have no idea. Shouldn't be, I don't think, but who knows?
Because he was alive at
neither
the end
should.
of the last one, I believe.
Yeah. But like, Jessica's not in the story, but we've got her back for this one. I'm really interested to see how far into the future beyond Messiah they go. Like we had originally said, they're not going to call it Dune Messiah. They're going to call it Dune 3. Like you can't call a movie like Messiah in 2026 or whatever.
Also, just
it's
branding,
just not gonna
it doesn't make sense to go.
Yeah, right. It's not branding. It's not palatable.
Right.
You want to just continue to go with the thing you've already set up for people. But now I'm like, but they also weren't sure they were going to be able to get Villeneuve back. And then Villeneuve is like, I'll come back and do 3. I'm curious if this is called 3, not because it's that we don't want to put the word Messiah on the title, but because they're like, it's not 3, it's 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
We're just going, baby.
The numbers
We're
will
gonna
go
just
as long as
have
they can.
Villeneuve wrap it up.
Right.
Because 3 is such a slight novel, and like 4 and 5 are even sort of slighter in terms of the actual like plottiness of them. Like there's a lot of interesting ideas, but in terms of what actually happens, I think you might be able to sort of yada yada your way to Imperial Sandworm King pretty efficiently if that's the place you're interested in ending this story.
So do we get God Emperor in this one?
That's my guess.
That would be
like
amazing.
seeing this right now, I am more in favor of that than I was when you started floating it. I sort of think this now goes to the end of the Frank Herbert official canon.
Okay.
Which would be cool as hell.
Yeah, I'd be down for it. I mean, it's a long movie, but as long as there's stuff in it, I'm happy.
That phrase right at the end where Paul says, I'm not afraid to die, in the book is sort of the idea that he has become like disconnected from humanity in the way that like Dr. Manhattan has. And it's like right before he goes out into the desert. And I sort of feel like if that's the first half of the movie, you could probably do like a lot of that stuff in the first half and then maybe have him come back, in his old man form, like just makeup him up or whatever, put more of that stuff around his eyes, whatever it is you have to do. I think it's seeing the way that this trailer is set up. I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel like they're just advertising the story of Messiah to me. This feels like they're really pushing that further.
If you have to,
we'll find out.
We'll go out on this one. If you have to cast an actor to play Old Man Chalamet, who is it?
Well, I mean, sort of the frustrating easy layup is Oscar Isaac, which I think is probably not as interesting as I want it to be in this instance. So then I guess I would maybe like Hugh Jackman.
That's not bad. For some reason, McConaughey's in my head, but I think it's because of Interstellar.
Well, yeah, sure. It's because he played his dad. We'll see. I'd be very interested to stay. Like, listen, we'll be covering all
we'll be here,
the Dune Part 3 news in the road to Dune's Day.
Yes.
December 18th?
December 18th. Neither of them are moving off that date. No. I actually don't think they should. I think Avengers, you get them into the normal theaters for a couple weeks, and then you go, now we're in IMAX, and you bring them all back.
Yep. Agreed. Nerdigo.com, youtube.com/@NerdigoMedia, @NerdigoMedia on the socials. Follow us along. Until then, spice must flow.
It must.